Hi everyone, it's me, your horticulturist Patricia Hanbich, with my favorite helper, Sprout. And today, today we are actually putting some cucumbers into pickles. So we're making an old recipe that my mother and her mother used to make called 14-day pickles. And it's a sweet pickle that takes 14 days in the process to make. So it's kind of fun. As anything, when you're putting food by, which is what we do every autumn, right, is you want to make sure that whatever you're preserving is of good quality. So these are a great size of cucumber for pickles. You want to make sure they're pickle ready for the beginning of the process, which basically means you wash off any field dirt that was on there. And I did just remove the stem. When I make some pickles, I might cut off both ends, but for these ones, because it's quite a process to make them, I just like to do as little damage as possible to the outside. So Sprout, I'm going to get you to put some of these cucumbers in this big crock. I have a Medalta crock that I'm using. And I don't know if you have a crock, but you can use any container. A Tupperware container works if you don't have anything else, as long as it's not metal, because it's going to have a brine in it, so it's going to be salty. So this, believe it or not, this bowl is a peck of cucumbers. Do you know how big a peck is?
No.
I didn't really either. It's a really old measurement. And so I looked back in some of the old recipes that my mom had, because when I was growing up, I had 5 siblings. So there's a lot of food that was put by for us to eat over the winter. And interestingly enough, in all the research I could find with the old cookbooks and that kind of thing, was a peck was 20 pounds of cucumbers. But then I looked it up while I was hanging around waiting to pick you up today. And a peck of cucumbers, according to Google and any online sources I looked at, is 13 or 14 pounds. But for the purposes of what we're doing today, making these 14-day pickles, we're going to say a peck of cucumbers is 20 pounds. So I'm going to get you to get those into the crock. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the recipe. Oh, better wash that one off, right? Wash it off in the sink. Really important to use good food safe practices whenever you're doing anything else, anything that's preserving food, because we want to have high quality food. So let's try not to do that. I did wash them all, so they're all ready to go. So 14-day pickles. For the first 11 days, basically we prepare the cucumbers to become pickles. We put them in the crock and we cover them with 2 cups of pickling salt. So pickling salt is a coarse grade salt that doesn't have iodine in it, and most of our table salts have iodine in them. And whenever you're doing any kind of processing, it's usually good not to have that additive in there. So we're going to get these in the crock. I have boiled a gallon of water. So for those of you that use more metric, 4.54 liters. And to that, I added 2 cups of this salt. I tell you what, I'm going to help you out here. Help me out so they don't fall. There we go. There we go. Gradually put them in the crock. And it's good to, I love using these old crocks, Medalta pottery. Look at that. So that's about the perfect size. Perfect. So it's a 3-gallon Medalta crock, and they're old crocks that we used to always just cherish as we were growing up, because they're perfect for making pickles and sauerkraut and all sorts of things like that. But at any rate, my water is cooled slightly because these old crocks I don't want to see broken. And I'm just going to pour the brine solution over. I'm going to put a plate on top of the cucumbers to keep them submerged. And then I'm just going to cover them with a tea towel, because a clean tea towel, because it's important to keep them submerged so that the brine is in effect beginning the pickling process. Once we hit day 11, we actually make the brine that is going to make the pickles, and we cut all these pickles up. Traditionally, we like to cut them lengthwise, so I would cut this pickle probably into quarters, because it's a nice small size pickling cucumber. and you pour the brine over it, and each day until you've reached 14 days, we actually warm up the brine, add a little bit more sugar to it, and cover them up. So watch out now, Sprout. This is hot water, so I'm just going to pour it over the cucumbers, and you may or may not be able to see it still steaming. You can hear the water pouring. Beautiful. So your brine should cover the cucumbers, and the cucumbers, as they sit in this brine, will actually start to lose some of their regular liquid and become pickles, because that's what happens. So I'm just going to put a plate over there to keep them submerged, cover it with the tea towel, and just check them every day. If there happens to be any floaties on top or anything like that, you can skim them off. But on day 11 is when actually the pickling process begins, and day 11, 12, 13, and 14 is when the real pickle production happens, and then they're ready to go ahead and put in jars. I have never traditionally canned these kind of pickles, so haven't put them in a sealed jar and processed them. I don't think it's necessary, as long as you have somewhere cool to keep them. A nice cold room or something like that would be good. So anyway, I hope wherever you are, that you are staying safe, you're happy, and you're growing all sorts of wonderful things. So we come to you once a week on Facebook Live with Orchid Horticulture, and you can find us any time of the day or night on the YouTube channel Grow. So I hope your harvest is going well and that you're putting lots of food by. So see you next time. Bye now.